Hey you guys, all right, this is the very last video for the month of July. If you already tuned in to the other two videos, you know that for some reason I cannot find my copy of the narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. On top of that, one of my children so lovingly decided to rip the cover off. I purchased it from John King's Rare and Used Books, and so it was a used copy, so it probably had lived a little bit. I want to say it was the 1968 version release of it. I can't remember for certain, but yeah, so I was a little upset that they did that. We're still working on being careful with the books. But this was selected for the month of July for our story, meaning our story, our history as Blacks, African Americans, Africans as a whole, told from the voice of one of us. And it's important for me to do that because sometimes other people that may not necessarily come from the same background as a Black person or an African American or even an African, and they don't necessarily relate. And it's very important for us to tell our story from our own voices and our own point of view. So that's why I went ahead and implemented this additional reading list, which I choose monthly, to do just that. And I had stumbled across this when I had went to John King's books for the first time when I was training for work. And I decided to go ahead and purchase it. So basically the title summarizes what the book is about. It speaks of his life from childhood up until the point of him escaping slavery. As we all know that he escaped slavery. So I took that as an opportunity to hear of one of the success stories, if that's what you call it, of a Black slave who took his own freedom instead of waiting on his freedom. Now, as far as what spoke to my soul, I always refer back to my notes. I guess it was an eye-opener more so than what typically speaks to my soul, and that was the fact that Frederick Douglass was not a supporter of the Underground Railroad. Got a little tongue-tied. He wasn't a supporter of it because he felt like it was putting a spotlight on the slaves that hadn't run away yet, and it gave slave masters and those who supported slave masters a reason to look for and try to find these routes that were being used, and making either the ones who probably seemed like the type that would try to run be more susceptible to be targeted, abused further than what they already were. And I guess that was just showing to me how the roads to freedom for those who took it before slavery was abolished varied. And I don't think it necessarily discredits how one chose to pursue their freedom, but it just shows you the importance of variety and why people have difference of opinions and how 1 + 3 = 4, but so does 2 + 2. So there's different roads and different methods and different ways to get to the same result, but others do things differently for various reasons, and some reasons make sense, and other reasons may not. But ultimately, the end result was to attain slavery. But it was just an eye-opener for me, and learning how to respect other people's opinions, because again, we may not take the same route, but we may end up at the same destination. So that was something that really spoke to my soul in regards to him. Now, the next thing I would say that kind of goes in conjunction with that thought about the different roads and the different methods used to attain slavery was another reason why, unfortunately, another one of the negative effects of slavery, the fact that sometimes it pitted other black slaves against one another, or even the free people, from working together, to coming together as a collective, because they're like, well, I can't tell you what's going on because I'm trying to save my own neck. And sometimes I think that continues to trickle down in our communities, where it's like, I got to get out, I can't worry about you, and we don't share our knowledge or the better way of doing things. And I'm kind of in between with that, because sometimes some aren't appreciative of the knowledge that you can share, and then other times people are dying to get it and are willing to listen and do what they need to do to become better. So I guess you have to be balanced and use discernment when choosing what knowledge you're going to share and what you're not. But I just wish, on a whole, collectively, we could do better as a community. But more and more, I am seeing efforts of us coming together, because we're all trying to attain and get to better places, and that's always good to see. So that definitely made me consider that as well. And then the next idea really is the fact that what was that I learned a new word and I can't remember it. I had learned a new word and I was going to use it, but I can't think of it at the moment. But what that motivating force, that push to go ahead and get him to want to take his freedom, was the fact that his slave owner, one of them, the wife, started teaching him how to read. Literacy was that motivating factor. And the husband told her, no, don't do that, because then your slave is no longer any good, because they'll begin to think. So that pushes me to make sure that my children are educated, my children are literate, that my children read, because it's true. Knowledge is power. And the more you read, the more you search out information, especially trying to discern it on your own, because a lot of times the system can feed you what they want you to be fed. But if you go out and search and look on your own, you might learn things that you never thought you would have. So that really spoke to my soul and stresses to me the importance of literacy and reading, something that I plan to make sure that my children definitely grab hold to. And I would say that the final idea that spoke to my soul is in regards to how so many histories are lost. And it's because our ancestors were trying to protect the future generations. And as a result of them trying to protect the future generations, we may never truly know the real story. But since I'm not in that generation, it's important to me to ensure that my family understands the legacy that we have and that we're creating, and to focus on how we are grateful and thankful that we don't have to hide what we've done. We don't have to hide how we've grown, and we don't have to hide that we're Team Robinson. And that was something to me, that despite the fact that so many stories are hidden, despite the fact that they'll never truly reveal everyone that aided them, every business or safe house or whatever roads they took, even though we're living in a totally I'm not going to say totally different world, but we're living in a different time where it's no longer a crime. Most of those stories died with our ancestors. And those who are fortunate enough to know a little bit of their true history, I'm not going to say I envy you, but I implore you to share your stories, because it makes us better. It makes us stronger. It makes us want to do more, be more. So I thank you when you do share those stories. And I thank being able to finally get past what the educational system wanted to present to you and learn it the way they wanted you to learn it, and being able to decipher it on my own and be like, isn't that something? Or learning that we were more than just slaves. Now that's something. So that was the final read for the month of July. All of the reads were awesome. I enjoyed every last one of them that I completed for the book club. I want to say I read 7 altogether for the month of July, and I'm pressing forward on in the month of August. So stay tuned in the next few days or so, because I'm almost out of August now while I'm recording these. You'll have the next set of books that we read, and I can go ahead. Oh, I'm missing one. Babe, is my American Marriage in there with you? He's gonna be fussing, but it's okay. On the thing, it's okay. That's what he's here for, right? And I'll go ahead and let you guys know what the next videos are going to be about. Oh, thank you so much, my wonderful husband. But the first book that I read for the month of August was The Alchemist. I want to say it's Paulo Coelho, maybe. I'm probably saying it wrong, but by the time I record it, I'll make sure I say it correctly. Man, I wish I would have read this book years and years and years ago. I'll definitely revisit reading this book. Then that was the personal growth read. Our story read is The Dark Fantastic by Ebony Elizabeth Thomas, where it discusses race in the imagination from Harry Potter to the Hunger Games. How there's misrepresentation of people of color, especially women. That's what it really focuses on in the fantastic stories. Great read. And then the main reading list was An American Marriage by Tari Jones. Awesome book. I read it like in one day, literally. So stay tuned for those. They will be coming at you guys in a few. As always, happy reading and happy listening. I will catch you guys next time. Peace.